Welcome to the Dog Boy Sports and Stocks podcast, and we're going to talk some college baseball today. We had a really interesting weekend this past weekend with the regionals that started on Thursday. And first, let me tell you a little bit about how the NCAA tournament works in baseball if you don't know. So there are a total of 64 teams. They open the tournament with the regionals. There are 16 regional sites. The top 16 seeds get to host the games at their home field. And there are 4 teams at each regional, seeded 1 through 4. Now, since they started this format in 1999, there has never been an occasion where the number 1 and number 2 seeds both lost their regional. Well, that just happened this past weekend. The number 1 overall seed, Vanderbilt, and the number 2 overall seed, Texas, both lost on their home fields in a regional tournament. The number 10 overall seed, which was Ole Miss, also lost. Now, what makes the significance of those 3 teams losing on their home fields was that they all lost to mid-major teams, which is pretty shocking. It's actually just the second time since they introduced that format that a team that hosted a regional did not even win a game in their regional, which is what happened to Vanderbilt. Now, the format obviously favors the teams that are hosting these games, the top-seeded teams. Since the NCAA began seeding the top 16 teams and this format, an average of 10.2 teams advanced the following week to the Super Regional. That's a pretty significant amount. But the home field wasn't enough for Texas, Vanderbilt, and Ole Miss, and some other teams, which I'm going to talk about in a second. So Vanderbilt was beaten twice and eliminated by Wright State. Wright State is a member of the Horizon League. Texas lost twice this weekend to University of Texas San Antonio, which is a member of the American Athletic Conference. And to make it even more surprising, UTSA is only making their 3rd NCAA tournament appearance this year. And coming into this tournament, they actually had never even won an NCAA tournament baseball game. Murray State from the Missouri Valley Conference is the school that eliminated Ole Miss. And the reason that this is so surprising and so noteworthy is that this is the first NCAA baseball tournament win by Murray State since 1979. Very, very interesting so far what's been happening. But Texas, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, SEC powerhouses weren't the only hosting teams to lose their regionals. We also had another SEC team, Georgia, which was the number 7 seed, lose in Athens at home over the weekend. Number 11, Clemson, lost at home. And number 12, Oregon, lost at home. Oregon was the Big Ten champions during the regular season. And the crazy thing about Oregon losing, they did not win a game in their region. They lost back-to-back games to, get this, Utah Valley and Cal Poly on their home field. Crazy. Another mid-major that advanced to the Super Regionals is Coastal Carolina from the Sun Belt Conference. And the interesting thing about that is they defeated Florida from the SEC, and Florida recently has won the national championship. So Florida has a really good program, and they knocked Florida out. Now, of course, I have to mention that the University of Miami went to Hattiesburg, Mississippi as the number 3 seed in that region and wound up winning that region, going through Alabama, Columbia, and Southern Miss. So way to go, Canes. Here's a breakdown of college baseball Sweet 16, breaking down by conference and the teams that have advanced. So the ACC has 5 schools of the 16 moving forward: Miami, Louisville, North Carolina, Florida State, and Duke. The SEC, which the SEC had the most bids in the tournament. They had 13 teams in the tournament. They only have 4 schools left: Arkansas, LSU, Auburn, and Tennessee. The Big 12 has 2 schools left: West Virginia and Arizona. Big 10, only 1, UCLA. American Athletic 1, UTSA, that I mentioned earlier. The Sun Belt Conference, Coastal Carolina, Missouri Valley Conference, Murray State, and an independent, Oregon State, which formerly played in the Pac-12, but is now an independent until that league gets reformed. So this year's baseball tournament has really shown that the playing field is a lot more level in a sport like baseball, where the NIL dollars aren't as important and as significant to getting players. Now, what do I mean by that? Just an example. The top 25 NIL earning players in college basketball earn an average of $1.5 million. The top 25 NIL earning players in college football make an average of $2.7 million, whereas in college baseball, the top 25 NIL earners average only $45,000. So it's quite a bit less money that's being thrown around in college baseball. By the way, just to throw this in, the average NIL baseball spending per team in the ACC is half of what the SEC teams on average spend on NIL, whereas the ACC now has 5 teams moving forward to the Super Regionals, and the SEC only has 4. I'm going to give you just an idea of the spending per school, and really how in college baseball the spending doesn't necessarily translate to success. So here's what I mean. Texas Tech spends the most on their baseball program this past year, just over $10 million. They didn't even make the NCAA tournament. Number 2 is Vanderbilt at $9.05 million, which, as I previously mentioned, they were the number 1 seed and they got knocked out of their own region. The third team, as far as spending, LSU at $8.72 million. They are still alive. They are advancing to the Super Regionals. Number 4 is Ole Miss, $8.5 million. As I mentioned, they got knocked out by Murray State. And number 5 and number 6, just behind Ole Miss, Texas A&M, number 5, didn't even make the tournament. Number 6 is Arkansas. They are in the Super Regionals going forward. They are still alive. They're just behind Ole Miss. So you've got a situation where at a lot of these northern schools and these mid-major schools, they recruit the players. They get some of the players in, and the coaches develop them. And what happens is then the school, and it's the same thing in football, the schools raid, the powerhouse schools, the SEC schools, the ACC schools, the Big Ten schools, they raid their talent. And it's hard for these mid-major schools to keep the players. You can develop them and the players do well there, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to stay, because some of them will go to where the money is. And that's the way it is now, unfortunately. But here's something to watch moving forward as far as college baseball. Beginning with this coming year, the academic year this coming year in the fall, Division I schools will now have a baseball roster limit of 34 players. All of these players can be given full scholarships. Now, the way that it has been is there was a scholarship limit of 11.7 scholarships per team, per roster. And for years and years and years, going back to when I was in college baseball has been a sport where 20 or 25 players saw playing time every year. And a lot of these players were not even on scholarship, or they had academic scholarships, or they had grants, or in some cases, maybe a player was good enough to play football and baseball, and he got a scholarship for football, but still played on the baseball team. Well, now, moving forward, starting this fall, every player up to 34 players on the team will be given full scholarships. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all unfolds with college baseball. As somebody who has always enjoyed college sports, watching college sports, I feel like NIL was a great thing for college sports. But it has ruined college sports the way it is right now. It has turned into a play-for-pay system, and it's not being used for what it was originally intended to be used for, which was for the players to create revenue, to make money on marketing themselves. That's what it was actually made for, but it's not being used that way. It's being used for the wealthier schools to be able to go out and buy players, basically. It's unfortunate that it's come to this, because I know a lot of people feel like college sports has been ruined because of all this, but unfortunately that's the way it is. So this weekend, just like I was in the NCAA tournament, I'm rooting for the little guys in this tournament moving forward in the Super Regionals, and hopefully going to get to the College World Series in Omaha in a couple weeks. So let's go UTSA. Let's go Murray State. Let's go Coastal Carolina. And of course, let's go Canes. Let's get to Omaha. This has been the Dog Boy Sports and Stocks podcast, and I'll see you next time.